I wanted to tell a story. So, for Christmas this year, it was the first time in my 45 years that I didn't get a gift from my mom. We had been no contact for several months because of something that happened, and I told her the ways that she had hurt me, and she refused to accept any accountability for that. And she told me that she was not going to apologize just because I felt like I deserved one. So I told her that if she wanted to see her grandchildren, she could arrange that through her son in law because she would not be speaking to me. She did arrange several visits with her grandchildren, and then she sent a text to my husband asking about arranging a holiday meal around Christmas so that she could have all four of the children there. Half of my kids are adults. So he forwarded that message to me, and I typed up my own message. And I was like, it really takes a special level of audacity to already be getting to spend time with your grandchildren. And then you're doing that via the cell phone that I pay for. That's how you're keeping in contact with people. I make sure that bill gets paid. You do get to spend time with them. And no, you won't be having any holiday meals with all of your grandchildren. You can get that by making things right with your daughter. So her response to that was more reasonable than I expected it would be. She said that she was willing to go to therapy and she would pay for it, and I could pick the therapist. Fantastic. That was great. I was going to start looking into that. I sent her a text message one day, and the response came back from my stepdad, and she apologized for that because he has access to the iPad at home. So when he saw the text message pop up, he just responded. And so it was at that point that I told her that I was not going to be able to go to therapy. I wasn't saying no forever, but it didn't feel safe because she has this belief that because she's married, everything gets shared with her husband, and her husband has used things that he knows. He likes to pick fights when he's drunk. So when we had gone no contact over the summer, it was because of him blowing up at me and using information that I didn't know that he had, that she had shared with him. And he still hasn't apologized for that. So we did make up. We went to lunch. We had a very nice time. We made plans for around the holidays, which included them coming over to our house for dinner on Christmas Eve, and then we went over to their house on Christmas Day for brunch. I was willing to put aside my differences with my stepdad so that my mom and I could spend the holiday together, since we did not spend Thanksgiving together, and that is not the norm for us. Well, I didn't want to be an asshole and not give him anything for Christmas. I had already purchased a Harry Potter Monopoly game, and when our kids went over for a visit at the beginning of December, they took the game with them so that they could play. I got cards, and I got them each a $5 scratch off, and I wrote a heartfelt message in there, which when you don't like somebody, you have no respect for them, no forgiveness in your heart for them, that's quite a task to come up with nice things to say, but I managed to do it. So I went to hand them to her, and I said, "Here you go. Do you want these now, or do you want to do it tomorrow?" And she was like, "Oh, now is fine. I don't have anything for you though." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." We finish. Christmas goes by. The next day, I'm sitting here, and I'm like, that's weird. That's the first time that she's never given me a gift. And I will say she didn't get one for my husband either. And I'm going to venture to guess that that's because she didn't want it to be blaringly obvious that she didn't get me one. I don't know her reason because I sat here and I cried for quite a while. I felt reminded of how I felt like the forgotten child growing up, because I'm the oldest of my dad's 4 kids, and they would do things like go on a vacation to New York City and go see the Empire State Building, come back with Statue of Liberty flashlights as souvenirs, and they didn't even bring me one. I didn't get to go on the trip, and I didn't get a souvenir either. And things like that really hurt me as a child. And so this made me feel like that again. So after I got done crying, I typed up an email, because when I'm feeling like that, I like to put my thoughts in writing. It helps me sort them out. And when I was done reading it, I decided that I was going to go ahead and send it. And I pointed out that this is what happened, this is how I'm feeling, and I was just hoping maybe you could explain it for me. I'm feeling like the forgotten child all over again, and I really didn't expect that from the parent that I spent 95% of my life with. Her response back to that was essentially, I'm sorry that you were hurt by my thoughtlessness. This is why I said that we should really go to therapy to work through our issues, because obviously you have very deep seated issues, referencing me saying that I was feeling like the forgotten child. So I responded back to her. Oh, she told me that she would be happy to discuss it in person if I wanted to. And so I responded back to her, and I said that I was not interested in bringing up old hurts, and that was a good enough explanation for me. And then I sat here and I kept thinking, and it dawned on me that it couldn't have been thoughtlessness, because when she walked into my house on Christmas Eve, she was carrying wrapped gifts for the younger children, and she had cards for, I believe, all 4 of them, but at least for the 2 adult children. And so it's not that she didn't think about getting me something. It was a choice. So why? I don't know. Then I started thinking, it's funny that she keeps trying to insist that I go to therapy. I've worked through my issues, and that forgotten child feeling, it wasn't because it was fresh. It was just a reminder of that feeling. Also, that didn't come from her. So what would going to therapy with her fix in that issue? Like I've already forgiven my father for those things, because I recognize that we are not the same, and he was not ever doing anything intentionally to hurt me. Anyway, she is right. Therapy would have been great, when I was 2 to 4 years old and I was sucking my thumb, and I would take small sections of my hair and twist it until it twisted around itself, and then I would rub the end and yank it out, and my whole right side of my head was bald. It's kind of a cute story that gets told, but you know what? I'm pretty sure it was probably an indicator that maybe I needed some therapy. Another good time that therapy would have been helpful? When I was about 6 years old, and I had been at a friend's house and was jumping back and forth between beds and ended up cutting myself in my private area, and so I was bleeding, and I went to the doctor, and then there was an investigation, and it came out that the neighbor boy across the street had been sexually assaulting me. That also probably would have been a really great time to get me therapy. But now, when I've worked through my issues, and really the problem is that I'm putting up boundaries and trying to understand why somebody does something, the things they do that hurt me, because I recognize we're all different. I just wanted to understand so maybe I could make sense of it in my head. But so now I guess I will be there sometimes, but I've got no interest in having the type of relationship that I thought we had before, because my mom is not the person that I thought she was when I was growing up. And when I think back on a lot of the things that happened in my life, they were a little more fucked up than a kid should have to deal with. So there you go. That's that. I love you. Have a good night. Thanks for listening to my story.